I actually thought President Tinubu will turn this country, honestly. And I walked out when I realized that I was wrong. I never regretted going, and I'm glad I came. Now, what I do is I look around and I see what needs to be done. I've made the point that ADC can win an election against APC if it's some of the key players in ADC undertake to do some rigorous self-search. The party itself has the courage to actually look at everybody and say, this is where we're strong, this is where we're weak, this is what we need to do to solve our problems. And one of them obviously involves the positions of people like the Wazir of Adamawa, Peter Obi. Now Kwankwaso is showing some presence there. And my position is simple. Tinubu will be tough to defeat. In politics, you must be willing to negotiate. You can't have everything. And when you don't have everything, have something.
Absolutely.
You know, the Southeast needs to be reintegrated into Nigeria.
Yeah.
Not as a favor, I'm not trying to be patronizing,
No.
but because that's a key part of this country. And we're losing a lot. The whole country is losing a lot by shutting out all part of this country and basically saying, let them do what they want to do with each other, with themselves. That is really, really dangerous.
Yes. Our guest today is Dr. Hakeem Baba-Ahmed. Without further ado, let's get right into it. Insecurity in the north has gone on now for 15 years, thereabouts. In your opinion, sir, is this a failure of leadership, a failure of government, or even of the northern elite? What's your opinion, sir?
I think it's a combination of all three. But principally, it's a failure of governance. Ordinarily, insecurity represents the biggest threat to the citizen and the state. And you do not allow insecurity to grow and develop on the scale that it did. We have tolerated threats to the lives of citizens and their properties and the peace of this country for too long. Principally because I think the quality of leadership we have enjoyed since perhaps going back to 2007, 2008 has declined. If you don't have good leaders, they don't have the capacity to detect threats, they don't have the capacity to mobilize reactions against that threat, they don't have the capacity to think through and see whether the threat is actually a cause or a symptom of a problem. And so we've tolerated too many things, and when you tolerate a threat, it develops and grows and it mutates and it becomes something else. It's not just the northern part of the country. Let me remind you that as far back as about maybe 12 years, 13 years, the Southeast has been literally no man's territory. We have allowed the citizens there to live under all sorts of threats and intimidation. This stay-at-home thing has been in existence in the Southeast for close to a decade. Where has been the Nigerian government? Look at the northern part of the country. The Umaru Yar'Adua ordered shoot at sight in 2009. In 2009, during the uprising, Muhammad Yusuf's people, days of rioting, killings in Maiduguri, the military asked the president to approve shoot at sight, and he did it. And Muhammad Yusuf was arrested. He was the then leader of Boko Haram. He was arrested, interrogated by the military, arrested by the military, interrogated by the military. They got all the information they needed, handed him over to the police, which promptly just shot him. Videoed the shooting and shot him, and along with other people. His people ran away.
Extrajudicial killing, more or less.
His people ran away, went underground. Now you would think a leadership that is thinking would follow these people. Said, how come Muhammad Yusuf's people, they all disappeared? They went underground. Apparently they underwent more thorough training, more deeper indoctrination, and they became hardened, and they became armed. Until that time, they weren't armed. And they came back to Nigerian state to fight the Nigerian state. President Obasanjo and Senator Shehu Sani visited them on their own, obviously with, I'm sure, the knowledge and the support of President Jonathan. They engaged some of the leaders of Boko Haram in Maiduguri, and they asked what they wanted in order to stop this. If my memory is correct, they gave them 4 conditions. Prosecute the people who shot our leader, Muhammad Yusuf, extrajudicially. And they, at that time, they had been arrested. They were here in Kuje, in Abuja. Everybody knew them. They were policemen. Rebuild the markers. That was his home in Maiduguri, which had been demolished and turned into a toilet in the middle of Maiduguri. Stop harassing our families, our wives and our children, and leave us alone. We just want to preach, and we don't want to fight. 4 conditions. The administration didn't believe that those were all these people were fighting for. Down the road, a year after, President Jonathan set up a huge committee, of which I was a member, called it the Presidential Committee on Dialogue with Boko Haram, and told us, go after these people, sit with them, and resolve this problem. Just think, one side in a conflict sets up his own team, sends that team to go and meet the enemy, and says, ask the enemy what they want, and solve this problem. For what it was worth, we went. Very powerful committee. And we spent a lot of time just trying to engage these people. Eventually, what we were able to establish from them were the same 4 things that they told President Obasanjo, former President Obasanjo, about 2 or 3 years later. Prosecute Muhammad Yusuf. As at the time that we were in that committee, these people were still in prison there. Rebuild the markers. The markers had not been rebuilt. Release our wives and children that you are detaining in police stations. As the time the committee was working, if you remember, between 2012, 13, 14, 15, were the high points at all the bombings here in Abuja, all over the country. So you had a leadership with a very poor reading of the situation, and quite possibly some level of corruption, because there were people who were making money from this. You had an ineffective appreciation of what the problem was. And it grew from Boko Haram. People saw an avenue. Nigerian state is weak. This is the Nigeria that would go to another people's country and solve their problem. Yes, we sent troops. We sent troops to those countries, put out their fire and come back. Yes. And yet you had a ragtag army that had transformed into a virtual real threat. It was taking over huge parts of Yobe, Borno, Adamawa, Taraba. And from then on, when you open the window, all sorts of threats come in. So, as I said, it's a combination of all 3. You have poor leadership. You have a state that has become so weak because corruption has eaten it up, including corruption that affects your fighting capacity. And the collapse of quality in the people who are leading Nigeria, both in the north and in the south, continue. As we speak today, if you ask a northerner who has some knowledge, who is the leader in the north? Who? In constitutional terms, they'll tell you it's the vice president, Kashim Shettima. Yes. But what does Kashim Shettima do under this administration? I respect the man a lot, but in effect, very little. Not just him. No vice president really does much, unless the president tells him. The quality of the north and the quality of leadership in the north has tremendously declined. Its social problems, economic problems have grown, and so naturally, because all these problems, emirs and chiefs and the clerics have been compromised by a very poor political process. The north has degenerated. And it's the same thing as I began by saying, it's not just the north. There are huge parts of Nigeria where this collapse is also virtual. in the Southeast. I'm very familiar with. I have a lot of people and contacts in the Southeast. Tragically, two key parts of this country, the North and the Southeast, have gone under. And we have a leadership that still continues to behave as if tomorrow will wake
Business
up
as usual.
with a miracle, and the North has peace, and the Southeast has peace, and we will live happily ever after. And it's the wrong way of thinking. Problems that are not attended to will grow.
Brilliant. Some have opined that if this spate of kidnappings and killings, massacres, call it whatever, if they were happening in Lagos or Abuja or both of them, that government's response would have been swifter, would have been more decisive, more proactive, even if you will. Is this correct? Because it would seem that of everything you said, corruption, yes, because quite a lot, people responsible who are meant to be putting out these issues are feeding fat from it. They're benefiting immensely from it. In fact, some school of thought say strategic people in the chain of putting out these fires, would rather want it to continue, unabated. So the question again, Doctor, is that because there's some sort of lukewarmness in the response of the federal government. What do you have to say to this?
I'm reluctant to attribute a sectional approach to this, to be honest with you, because my facts here are not very strong. But what I can tell you is that there is a relationship between control of the state, control of state resources, and peace or security in particular parts of the country. When you say this, people would say, but in that case, the North should not have had the problem. You had Eradua, then 2 years, then you had Jonathan in between, and then you had Buhari for 8 years. Buhari didn't govern this country at all. And so when people say, but you had your own turn, and Buhari was your president for 8 years, why didn't he put an end to Boko Haram and Lakurawa and the Mahmuda group that is now terrorizing Kwara and Naija State? The truth is, I think, is that generally, that's why I made the point, the quality of people who have governed this country has declined so badly between corruption and ineptitude. You've had a leadership that has simply allowed the country to rot. I'm not sure that there is any part of this country which is not under one threat or the other. None, including Lagos. Lagos has its own social problems. There may not be people who are kidnapping, but Lagos, for all its wealth and everything, Lagos could be a much safer place. Ask people who live in Lagos. Ask them how they live. It's a very difficult place to live. So, economic development alone doesn't give you guarantees. You may be safe in your house, but you can't step out. The bottom line is, Nigeria is in a very serious crisis because we have not had kind of leaders who will try to understand the nature of the problems. They are multifaceted, there are different types of problems. Some are limited to particular areas, some are across the country. The biggest threat is corruption. When you eat out the heart of institutions, your defense and security institutions, your leadership is corrupt. The people you are trusting to defend you are either corrupt or they become victims of corruption themselves. Your core social values have been eroded. Everybody does what they want because there are no consequences in this country. So good people become bad. And then criminals find it easy to settle in. This is where we are. And there doesn't appear to be anybody who's looking at Nigeria and saying, what will this country be in 10 years' time? If we continue on this trajectory, what would our children be like in the next 10 to 15 years? Would they have a country to live in? And the tragedy is that everybody's a victim. Nobody, no group, no section, no interest will escape the consequences of what is happening in this country now. And yet we have a leadership now that is saying, we're on top of the situation. Even if we're on top of it, be patient, we'll be on top of this. 3 years ago, we elected a president who was supposed to have been intelligent, a schemer, somebody who has been in the corridors of power or who has President Tinubu. And Nigerians thought, now we'll see a difference. President Buhari just sat there for 8 years, never really governed, didn't assign responsibilities, never monitored how it was doing. Things got worse. Poverty levels got worse. Insecurity levels got worse. We thought Tinubu would fix this country. He hasn't. And it doesn't look like he will. And now they're asking for another 4 years.
Yeah.
And so what are they going to do different from what they've done in the past? They haven't told us. And yet they're asking Nigerians to trust them. Why should Nigerians trust anybody? And this is the most destructive question you can ask. No politician has given us a single reason to trust them. You have an opposition that is yet to tell us what they will do if they get power from President. Just tell us. You are ADC or PDP or whatever. If you trust us with power, we will do this and this and that. You can hold us against it. We will do this. Practical solutions that are based on knowledge and understanding and analysis. To fix Nigeria, you need to do this and do this and this. And it will begin by us. It will begin by us.
Now, what baffles most Nigerians, including myself, when northern leaders, the elites of the north, elected and non-elected, even socio-cultural leaders, when they talk about, politics and all of that, the common strand is identity politics. Oh, it's the turn of the North. Oh, the North will not accept if there's no Northerner, if there's no Muslim, if there's no this. But, sir, like I said, data, hard, irrefutable data. The leaders of Nigeria, as pressed at the top level, 65% of them have been from the North. So the question is, are the northern elites, because I just don't want to say governors, but northern elites, are they actually focused on, eradicating poverty, taking children to school, fixing maternal infant mortality rates? Because whether we like it or not, these are the soft issues that have created this monster.
Sure.
So are northern leaders actually paying attention to this particular issue, solving this problem holistically from the roots?
Well, sometimes we use this word elites rather loosely.
Because you're one of them, sir.
Yes, no. But I accept your definition of northern elite. My only issue with it, you have northern elite that are in charge of power and authority. You have other elite, people like me, who mostly remain on the margins, and sometimes we criticize. Sometimes we say this is the way to go. The damage that has been done to the quality of leaders in the North between the 70s and 80s is immense. State creation has fractured the solid qualitative leadership in the North beyond any other region. The North is big, massively productive. 95% of Northerners just don't want anything. Just leave us alone. We'll do our farming, we'll do that. We don't want anything from the state. They want their children to go to school. They want their infants not to die in infancy. But basically, Northerners are hardworking, honest people. Yeah. When you see them become like this, and their leaders appear to just run away from the problems rather than stay and solve the problem, you ask yourself, what happened? What happened to the legacy of these your great rulers that were murdered in 1966, and some of your military people who did very well? Yes. What happened? How come the North has no leadership? Geopolitical engineering has damaged them. One region now has 19 states. People don't understand the implications of that. One region now has 19 states, each one with 3 tiers of 3 arms of government. The cost of governance alone is enough to deprive these states of money to develop people. 2, the kind of people, the military bequeathed leadership, a democratic process that just literally has, that lacked quality and gravitas, same as other parts of the country. But when you have a combination of poverty that is developing and growing, and a leadership that is incapable of understanding what to do about that poverty, you have what you now see as persistent and guaranteed decline. You asked a question about identity. Identity is in Nigeria. Every group has identity issues. Every group. And this we and them is a Nigerian thing. It's not a northern thing. And northerners have been identified as saying, oh, we and our own. It's not just northerners. It's what defines our politics. Unfortunately, it defines it sometimes negatively. And we always tend to think if one of our own is in power, we are going to be better off. I think there's enough evidence on the ground now to show us that we're wasting our time.
Absolutely.
And we do talk to people. We say, listen, just because you have one of your own doesn't mean your group or your ethnic group, your faith, or where you come from is necessarily going to be better. 2 days ago, I was in a meeting with some very prominent persons from the southeast of the country. And during lunch, I reminded one of them who was saying, oh, you northerners, everything is about you. You don't criticize your own people. You let it. And I reminded him, in 2009, the group of which I was a spokesman, Northern Elders Forum, engineered a collaboration here in Abuja. Fenifere, Pandef, and Ohaneze, Ndibo, another group. And we held a press conference here in Abuja. And we told Nigerians, don't trust President Buhari with another 4 years. If you give this man another 4 years, after the mess he has made up of the first 4 years, this country will be almost irretrievable. Openly and loudly, we said so. And we led this movement. So when people accuse, oh, they know they always want power, they don't want to yield power, the North wants what is its. In fairness, we demand what is fair. We're not blind to the fact that we're just like other Nigerians too. Give us a chance and we will either mess you up.
Exactly.
The same way that you will mess me up if I give you a chance. We share a lot more in common when it comes to the bad things. It's when it comes to the good things that you now begin to identify who else is thinking of this country and who's just thinking about his tribe. And this is the problem that we have. And in this 1 year, you would see all these things come to play. Would people line up behind a candidate because he represents the best hope for this country to survive? Or would I line up behind someone just simply because he comes from that side? And you see it across the whole country. And this is one of our greatest failings in this country. It's failure to recognize quality wherever it comes from and to say, look, my child will go to school if he is the president or the governor. My child will not go to school if this one who speaks my language and worships the God I worship will not go. It's a big challenge. If this country survives this 1 year, survives this election they are playing, and hopefully, by 2027, we have a leadership that will think of this country for a change, involving all Nigerians. Maybe then we can begin the process of rebuilding this country.
Nice. Is Nigeria becoming a one-party state with this gale of defections? Is Nigeria?
No. There are still other parties. I have my own party. I'm a member of the PRP, People's Redemption Party, and it's quite active on the ground. But we don't have. Oh yeah, we don't have trillions and trillions of naira, so you don't see us.
It's not even been mentioned amongst the top 10 or top 50.
No, but it's early days.
I thought it was the registered.
No, it's
okay. No, it contested last presidential elections.
Yes.
Kola Abiola,
yes.
Exactly.
And then that's one of the funny things about this country that people don't understand.
Imagine.
This is the oldest party in this country.
Oh wow!
This is over 70 years.
Wow. The same PRP of
Kano.
Wow.
Yes, and Rimi and Malala Musa.
Wow.
You know, the only ideologically based party.
Wow.
And the only party for the poor.
Interesting.
And last election, our candidate won genuinely and openly the platform, the ticket. He defeated Northerners.
Wow. Oh really? The primaries?
Oh yeah.
Oh wow.
Oh yeah. He contested against Northerners, and Northerners gave the same way Northerners gave his father the
general
ticket.
Elections.
Yes, the general elections in 1993. So Kola was our candidate.
I know.
What the point I'm making is that I think that there are a lot of parties given the chance. ADC has a good chance of giving the APC a real challenge. And they have to do a lot of strategic thinking. They have to watch out for some fault lines that are emerging. There have to be a lot of mature, responsible thinking. They have to think outside the box. And some major decisions need to be taken.
Sorry to butt in. Now you are on this, so let me just, tackle you on this. I've seen you a couple of times on different platforms where you had said if ADC conducts their primaries and a certain candidate, I don't want to mention him, wins, that the party will disintegrate. Now, the question that arises from that, because it sounds like I've seen government officials saying more or less the same thing, Festus Keyamo and a few others, So it will seem like it's a choreographed thing, that maybe you have been asked to work for them, to solve all of this.
Yeah, you can say it.
Okay. No, I have to be diplomatic about it, Doctor.
No, you don't need to. You're my friend.
So why are you canvassing for a certain candidate?
I'm not canvassing at all.
Okay.
I'm not. And this is the only thing about all these comments that hurts me. Is when people say, now we know. This man left Tinubu's government to come and work for Tinubu.
Through the back door.
It's nothing to do with that at all. It's nothing to do with that. Actually, my thinking, which I am beginning to see being increasingly popular, is the best advice you can give the ADC. I've made the point that ADC can win an election against APC if it's some of the key players in ADC undertake to do some rigorous self-search. The party itself has the courage to actually look at everybody and say, this is where we're strong, this is where we're weak, this is what we need to do to solve our problems. And one of them obviously involves the positions of people like the Wazir of Adamawa, Peter Obi. Now Kwankwaso is showing some presence there. And my position is simple. Tinubu will be tough to defeat because he's got all the money in the world. He's got all these politicians who also have money in the world. And they're now, as we can see, they're now resisting amendments to the Electoral Act that will tilt the process a little bit towards fairness. And if parties insist on playing a more challenged game in the same way that they did in the past, it won't work. And it's very important for this country that we have an opposition that will give the current administration a run for its money. If this government comes back through fair and fair election, fine, we'll live with it. But there must be free and fair election. And it must win that election beyond all doubt, any doubt. And if a political party has can prepare well enough and tap into this content and this huge number of politicians who are also outside the APC. They are in the PDP still unsure of whether to stay until the ceiling collapses on them. In other parties, and like I said, we are in an alliance with about 8 or 9 parties. We're talking about having a good chance. We can give Nigerians a chance to revisit and renew this country. So when people say things like, this man is against President Atiku, I'm not a president, and I'm not campaigning for Tinubu. In fact, I have said in so many places, the reason I left was because I was disappointed. I actually thought President Tinubu will turn this country, honestly. And I walked out when I realized that I was wrong. I never regretted going, and I'm glad I came. Now, what I do is I look around and I see what needs to be done, and I say it. Now, a lot of politicians don't like it when you say, "Sir, don't run," or do something else. What I offered as an advice was actually a very flattering option for great politicians like the Waziri of Adamawa. So you can be a statesman. Yeah. For me, that's bigger than being a president. You can actually decide the future of this country by just simply saying, I will not run. But I have people that I can influence in very positive ways, a lot of them. And I can be the inspiration for politicians to put the country first. And also to do those things that are necessary so that we can win this election. The best thing that is happening to APC is actually the fact that there are people in the ADC who have already predetermined places in that party. And if they don't think outside the box, they will just simply play into the hands of the APC. We may as well just simply prepare for another version, another 4 years for the APC. On the other hand, if APC insists that it has to come back, then it has to do a huge amount of work. There is no way you can go to February 2027 with this level of insecurity. The level of poverty in parts of the north is unbelievable. Children, the malnourishment levels, children who you see a child and you will not believe that they are human. You think they are just a piece of cloth that the mother has to do. In many, many areas. In my zone, in the northwest, quite possibly we have 2 or 3 million refugees. People just roaming around, literally roaming around. We don't have a single IDP. Nowhere to settle these people. Nowhere. Nobody to do that. And yet you hear that they send all these billions and billions and billions of naira to governors and to local governments. What are they doing with this money? So, in a free and fair election, what would APC say, for instance, to the northern part of the country? What would they say to northern votes? And my zone has more votes than any other zone. So, I'm used to politicians or their supporters, particularly on social media, saying, this guy, if he says that President Atiku shouldn't run, it means he's campaigning for Tinubu. I think President Atiku understands, Vice President Atiku understands my position. And I've sat on one-on-one with him, and I've said to him, you've known me since 1998. I'm not the type who will say nice things to you because I believe I should be in your good books. I'm already in your good books. If you don't think I'm in that, that's sad because I respect you.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of thinking to be done. I hope that politicians in APC, in ADC, PDP recognize the fact that 2027 is going to be a major test of whether our democracy survives or not.
You touched on former Governor Musa Rabiu Kwankwansia. Incidentally, like I said, for me, the biggest shock of the governors defecting was Abba Yusuf, because, I thought that movement would keep that state, would keep, But you said he also is, casting glances at the ADC. That's Musa Kwankwansia.
So you know what I'm talking about.
So, but is that real? Is it, just yes or no, is that real?
I think so. I don't have anybody close to him. I don't talk with him, so I'm only guessing like everybody else. I think that there is almost near certainty that in one way or the other he will have some relationship with the ADC, and that will make him a big factor in ADC. I think what is important for ADC, they have a real good chance with this business of saying, we have candidates there and it must be them. Or there are candidates who says it must be me. Or there are candidates who says no. The best way is to just submit ourselves to everybody. And whoever wins with the rest of us will follow. I'm telling you, I've met with a huge number of people. People get angry with me when I say, if Vice President Atiku gets the ticket, a huge number of people would walk out of the APC. Because they're only there for the ticket. There's no ideology that is keeping them there. There is no interest beyond the ticket that is keeping them there. They're only there because they want their candidate to become the candidate for the party. And if he's not there, they say, well, what is there to hang around for?
But this counter argument is that if we put the country first above personal ambition, everyone has subscribed to going into this race. And as good sportsmen, we went into a contest. I won, you lost. So we're not rally around everybody, and then let's take out these other guys so that we can offer, a different trajectory. and save this country.
That's exactly.
Is that not a more reasonable counter-argument?
Absolutely, I agree with you entirely. But the problem is that our politicians tend to put their ego and their personal first.
Sorry, sir, because if we play the other way, like saying, oh, so since we didn't get it, then we're playing spoiler, we're going to have a repeat of 2023. We're going to balkanize our power because, this person will get, this person will get, and then we're back to square one.
Yes, I agree with you entirely. And like I said, I speak with a lot of people, a lot, from all parts of the country. And I warn them against this. In politics, you must be willing to negotiate. You can't have everything. And when you don't have everything, have something.
Absolutely.
The Southeast needs to be reintegrated into Nigeria.
Yeah.
Not as a favor. I'm not trying to be patronizing.
No.
But because that's a key part of this country. And we're losing a lot. The whole country is losing a lot by shutting out all part of this country and basically saying, let them do what they want to do with each other, with themselves. That is really, really dangerous. And one way in which we can reintegrate, where the North-South can be reintegrated into this country, is through the political process. Now, when you say, I want that and only that, if I can't have that, I will stay out. You could end up being permanently out.
Absolutely.
Because the same way you want it, somebody else will want it. So there are, I think, I don't want to disclose some of the engagements we are, but I found a lot of reasonable people who are saying, fine, we understand. We have to play the game, have played with intelligence, show a lot of tolerance for other parties, but unless we actually pull energies together, we'll just simply allow what exists to continue. So whether it works at this stage or not, I don't know. But of all the platforms that has promise, I think the two are the ADC and our alliance of the smaller parties.
Now this alliance comprises of the PRP and SD?
And 7 other parties.
Okay.
7. So there are 8 of us, and we are talking. And what we're trying to do is to provide Nigerians. You are laughing now. Everybody laughs, and usually I
you don't know why I'm laughing. You don't know why I'm laughing.
Don't worry about it.
But no, let's we have to roll because this conversation is very interesting, and we have to wrap up. Maybe like 6-7 minutes. So I'll just fire quick. Do you believe the 2027 elections will be competitive, or is just a fait accompli?
No, I think it will be competitive.
Okay.
With or without the amendment. In fact, if just yesterday I made a comment on social media because I heard in the northern part of the country a lot of people who are saying unless the INEC chairman is removed, unless they do the Electoral Act the way it's supposed to do, the Muslim community should not vote. Boycott the election, leave it for them. And I made a comment, and I said that is very wrong and it's very dangerous. Because if you boycott an election, that's the best thing you can do to the person who calls you to boycott it. You just hand them over the next government. Exactly. Because an election is not invalidated because somebody has boycotted it. On the contrary, what you need to do is to encourage people to register and vote in millions and millions and millions. And I think that is going to happen.
Brilliant. Brilliant. If the opposition leaders, if they are going to see this and they call you, sit you down and say, okay, we need your advice. What do we do?
I would say to them, jettison all the traditional ways of looking at it.
Okay.
Yes. The challenge ahead of us is so extraordinary, so demanding, that it demands that all of us should assess our commitment to the country, not our commitment to our own interests, and adopt a position of give and take. We can't fix this country overnight. We can't change this country, the thinking, the tendencies, we can't. But we can begin in 2027. The only way you can begin in 2027 is if you win the election. And you can win this election, but you have to do a number of things, including your egos and your ambitions. You have to put them aside. That's what I would say to them.
Brilliant. Brilliant. Is President Tinubu, in almost 3 years, has it strengthened or weakened democracy by his actions and, policies and decision making? And also, the use of, emergency tool, weapon in River State, these anti-corruption agencies, looming over these governors as a threat, because that's why some of them are decamping. But overall, has this weakened or strengthened democratic culture in our country?
I'm sorry to say that. I think he has tremendously weakened the democratic process. And given his pedigree, his background, honestly, I would have thought this is a man who would come into this country and reinvent the democratic process, especially when he's taken over from President Buhari. He has turned power into, I think he's about the most powerful president I've seen. And I've been in the federal government in one way or the other since, I think, 1993 or 94. I've worked with 6, 7, 8 presidents. This is the most powerful, this is the president who has amassed more power around him than anybody else. That's not a very good thing for a democratic process. This is a president who has shown that there's only one way to get power, get closer to him. Join his party, become part of his party, and then all else shall be added onto it. That's a very dangerous thing, because you now kill the everything else that is not around you. And too much power, whether you like it or not, whoever you are, too much power breeds arrogance, insensitivity, contempt for opinion of others, and sometimes gross incompetence, because you don't have anybody to tell you what you're doing wrong. So I think he has diminished our democracy. We have a chance in 2027 to rekindle it.
Flowing from your last point, what has been the impact of President Tinubu's style, and not even beyond style, actual actions? What has been the impact of this on the justice system in Nigeria, the role of the judiciary as an impartial arbiter?
I am very reluctant to talk about judiciary because I want to be fair to them. If there are shortfalls about on the judiciary, we don't see it openly. And if they have done well, it's difficult to judge. But I can tell you, the executive arm of government, in one way or the other, impacts on the other arms of government very badly. If you have a bad president, he impacts tremendously on all. The legislature has been particularly disappointing, spectacularly disappointing. I've never seen a legislature that has been so happy to exist in the pocket of the executive like this one. And that is really sad, because I know a few of them who used to be really good people. I don't know where they are, what they're doing, but I doubt if they believe that they will come back in 2027, because Nigerians watch. And if you give them half a chance, they will throw them out. The judiciary, I don't know, but I'm hoping the judiciary decides 80% of all electoral cases.
Absolutely.
It's my desperate hope that we still have some judicial officers with some level of integrity. Because if you cheat people at the polling unit, you cheat them at the declaration of result, then you cheat them in the courts. Then they take the law into their own hands.
I know you would not like to hear this, but I have to say it. If former Vice President Atiku Abubakar wins the ADC primaries, what would you advise to him on his pathway to defeating President Tinubu?
I would say, first of all, get back all those people you defeated.
Okay.
Mend fences, and go out and tell Nigerians what you do different from Tinubu. Be very clear. What will you do about insecurity? What would you do about poverty levels? What would you do about reintegrating this country and turning it into what? What would you do to young Nigerians to give them hope that they will grow up in a country that they believe in and respect? Say it now. Even if it's on a one-page thing, say what ADC stands for. How do you differ from APC? Why are you contesting at this stage? Tell people. Those people who think you are too old or you are too infirm, sir, assure us. Say the good things about yourself. They think you are just trying to be a president. Say why you believe you are the best candidate. That's what I would tell you.
Brilliant. When you resigned from President Tinubu's administration, I think last year, you had said the North will make its position known in 2026. a second month now into 2026. What's the position of the North concerning next year's election?
It's there, and we will make it known.
No, you are the spokesman for the Northern Elders Forum.
No,
so
I
we have
used to
to
be
hear
the
that.
spokesman, but I can speak for the North in my
Yes,
own individual
yes,
capacity.
yes.
It's there, and there's a lot of consultations going on. But let me say this, it's not going to be a position for the North in exclusion. The North needs other parts of Nigeria to agree that we need to reopen, we need to turn a new leaf in this country. The North cannot do it alone. It needs other Nigerians. It needs to give and it needs to take. The North needs to come down from its high point. We are the biggest, we are the strongest.
About the votes, that's what some Northerners are saying.
Yes,
About
but
the
your votes, I cannot just secure the presidency.
Yeah.
It's not
You
enough.
still need a handshake.
We need alliances. We need to build bridges with the rest of the country. So this is going to be part of the requirements in these discussions we're having. We need alliances. We need to build that. Everybody is in trouble. It's not just the North. Everybody is in trouble, and no part of the country can win this election alone.
No. You're a devout Muslim. You know, I told you on the phone. You're one of the people some of us look up to, and I know you're a very straightforward man. Has President Tinubu done enough on sheer evidence in terms of insecurity, poverty level? Okay, the argument is that he has done reforms, and reforms usually come with birth pangs. Has he done enough to deserve a second term?
As we speak now,
Yes.
no.
Okay.
But he still has a year.
Okay. So you think he can actually change?
Well, if he wants to come back in a free and fair election, he should do a lot more than he has done in the past.
Brilliant. Last question, Doctor. I told you earlier that I'm a die-hard pan-Nigerian. At some point in my life, if I was asked to bring a benefactor, a father figure, I would have brought a Fulani man from Adamawa State. He's late now. He passed on during COVID. I have an office, and that office was given to me by a Kanuri man from Borno State. We eat together. No discrimination of any sort. When he needs to pray, I sit down, he prays. When he finishes, he gets up, we'll continue. A brother, we were friends, but then we became brothers. So, but it's gotten to a point now where I'm questioning the Nigerian project, whether it is still tenable. Are you there? Do you share such sentiments? Have you ever thought of giving up on Nigeria? No. What gives you hope about the
It's not hope. It's that I don't see an option apart from, and I don't want to contemplate.
There are people who believe strongly that the different cultures and religions cannot mix. We should all go our separate ways.
No, they're wrong. They can, and they must. They only need to look at Sudan, look at Libya, look at some of those countries that.
What about Yugoslavia?
Yeah, many. We must salvage this country as one country. It's in everybody's interest. Nobody will get everything they want. I swear. If Nigeria survives for the next 200 years, you will have grievances. You would have people who say this is not good enough. But we don't have a choice. And the options are frightening. If we want to condemn our children and their children for the next 50 years to fighting each other, to running away from all over the place, because we have different religions, we have different tongues, the best thing you can do to trigger that kind of option is to continue to doubt whether we should survive. We need more and more Nigerians like you and I who believe this country must be saved. It must be saved. There is enough room for all of us. Enough. And that is the honest to God truth. There's enough resources. This is a very rich country. We don't need to fight over crumbs. We are basically decent people. You and I can get along until the cows come home. There's no reason why you can't be a Christian and why I shouldn't be a Muslim. There's none. We don't need to fight. But look at how it has become. We're fighting over tiny little issues. When the big issue, but how do we get together and exploit what God has given us underground or above the ground in ourselves? We are some of the most enterprising and intelligent human beings in this country. I don't care who my friend, where he comes from. I would look at the qualities you have and you become my friend. So I hope Nigeria can survive the next decade. I'm praying to God it does. And I hope that our children can have a chance to grow up as Nigerians that would look at each other and see Nigerian first rather than ethnic groups.
but we have to work. Complacency and this tendency to think, so what if we break? Everybody thinks a breakup is
It's
not a
easy.
bad thing. Believe me, it is one of the worst things that can happen. Look at South Sudan. This is what they wanted 35 years ago. Look at Libya. Look at Sudan. There are so many countries. They never recover.